Ever woken up face down in someone's yard, not knowing how you got there? You're not able to move your limbs and you're completely confused? Well, I have, because I went to college. This is Don't Move. It's similar. Let's discuss. This follows a seasoned killer as he injects a grieving woman with a paralytic agent. God, that's evil. She must run, fight, and hide before her body shuts down. Don't Move is rated R for strong violence and language. It stars Finn Wittrock and Kelly Asbill, who starred in the likes of Fargo, Yellowstone. I believe she was in Wind River, and it's really just these two. There are some other people in the movie along the way, but it's he after her, except the way that they meet is so unconventional. And you know the moment you see him, first of all, it's what the movie is, so you know something bad's going to happen. But he also has like this smarmy look to him, like I know that guy's up to no good. Finn Wittrock does a brilliant job of that. I mean, all throughout this film, having to lie to people when he gets caught up in the act, having to try to cover his tracks. And on this mission, that's a little bit foggy. I mean, I don't know entirely what he was trying to do here. You're asking questions along the way that you probably shouldn't be asking. But for the most part, you understand why she's in the position she's in at the beginning of this movie. Grieving, heavily grieving over something tragic that happened that comes into play multiple times throughout this movie. And ultimately, it creates a thriller that has some thrills, has some questions, has some moments that will have you rolling your eyes, but ultimately a premise. Not talking about the film or the execution, but a premise that is brilliant. Brilliant! Couple things I like about this movie. It's a tight 90 minutes. Granted, it's a simple premise. If it would have been 2 hours, what are we doing here? But it was exactly what it should have been. It gets you from point A to point B to point C very simply, meeting few people along the way. Characters, it's like the moment they show up, you know what's going to happen, maybe going to try to help our main character. This is not going to end well for anyone because there's still 45 minutes left in the movie, so you see what's coming a mile away. But at the same time, again, the premise is so cool. This girl, she's going paralyzed, unable to move her limbs. Things are slowly coming back along the way, and she's trying to reach out to everyone around her, or if there's no one around her, trying her best to get herself out of the situation, even though at the beginning, she is at a point in her life to where she just doesn't see the point in continuing. But that comes to her as she goes throughout this movie, which is interesting because his goal, for some strange reason, is to keep her going, even though he's doing evil things along the way. And so what did we learn here? Well, he's a lunatic, but he also gives her a reason to fight. So again, I think there were opportunities here to get us to care a little more. We know the situation that she's in and we care because of that, but also I'm just questioning motives along the way to where, yes, it's 90 minutes, but you could have given us less of this repetitive story and fleshed the characters out just a bit more. Also, it's such a predictable series of events, and it almost feels like the story is going through the motions at times. Like, yeah, we have to give them this, this, and this because that's what this kind of movie would do, as opposed to maybe giving us something that feels a little more fresh to go along with this fresh concept. Because again, she doesn't have a lot to do throughout the movie. Look, it's a good performance, but she's just kind of sitting because she's going paralyzed throughout the entire thing. I think it's a testament to her performance because you can see the expression in her eyes, the fear that she has on her face this entire time, and realizing, coming to the point to where she's like, yeah, maybe I do need to fight to survive. And I guess that's kind of the point of his character, but at the same time, we're learning things about him as he's answering phone calls, like things that she shouldn't know that come into play, and I'm like, yeah, I would have liked to have known more about that. And then they never come to pass before the movie ends. I'm just like, I get you're trying to humanize certain elements, but maybe we didn't necessarily need that. Or if you're going to give us that, maybe deliver on something else. There are so many times in this movie where they will bring up something or a piece of information would exist and it's just never hit on again. And I get it. You can't do much more with 90 minutes, but at the same time, man, it's almost like maybe keep it even more simple and don't bring it up to start. Maybe focus on something else. But the Netflix original movies, that's what most people are watching nowadays. So, I don't know if we should expect more. Maybe we should get more. But I will say, just with the simplicity of everything and this idea and how certain moments are indeed riveting, and admittedly, I was on the edge of my seat at times. Now we get to the end of the film and there's a moment of payoff, but there are also a couple of moments of like this is what we were building up to, really? So I could see a lot of people frustrated going, all right. Look, could I have used a little more across the board? Absolutely. Would that have made this movie longer? Yeah. So I like how they stuck to their guns, and there are points where, again, I'm just kind of like, man, I'm invested into what's happening at this moment, and the thrills are working. Also, Sam Raimi produced this, and you can feel that influence at times. I also like how this does feel like a bit of a passion project. So, yeah, I need to know, what'd you think about Don't Move? Was it too much with too little, or was it too little with too... That doesn't even make sense. All right, let's give the score. Also, if you want to see more Netflix reviews, dropping that like tells me so. There is often beauty in simplicity, and that is the ultimate takeaway here from this Raimi-produced thriller. It keeps it simple, occasionally substituting depth for adrenaline, but it does just enough to justify its existence, and it's a simple watch. A lot of people are going to appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. What's your favorite thriller or horrifying experience like this on Netflix? And have you ever woken up in some grass somewhere and you didn't know where you were? I'd love to see some stories. I want to read stories down below. All right, do you want more Netflix reviews? Let me know what to review. I'll see you soon.